Hey guys, so I'm going a little out of my comfort zone because I absolutely hate being videoed. But I wanted to share with y'all this functional medicine journey I'm going on. I know I've been putting a lot of stuff on Facebook about it, a lot of documentaries, and those are great if you don't know a lot about it. I suggest you watch them and then you do a lot of digging on your own because there's a lot that isn't covered. What is functional medicine? Why am I seeking functional medicine when there's a lot of doctors out there and supposedly we have all these great medical providers? Well, for years I tried dozens of doctors. I'm on year 10 of trying to fix a thyroid problem, what supposedly is a thyroid problem. But functional medicine is different because it doesn't treat us all the same. It doesn't look at diseases specifically. Wouldn't look directly at my thyroid. It would look at my whole body and try and figure out what is causing my thyroid issue. So functional medicine addresses the whole body and each individual person. It doesn't put everybody in a bucket and throw the same thing at it, trying to fix it. I will put some links underneath the video to give you more information on the differences between functional medicine and what we're all really used to over the past few decades of how we've been treating diseases. So I want to kind of tell you what I've been dealing with. A lot of people haven't seen me for quite a while. We've moved around and aren't aware of some of the things that I've been going through and why I'm on this journey of trying to heal. I've been sick for most of my life. A lot of it I dealt with, didn't realize I had issues until I started having my children. And slowly, with each pregnancy, I got worse. After I had my second child, which was actually my fourth pregnancy, I got pretty sick, was diagnosed. They thought I was just depressed, and a lot of the issues I had were in my head. I just did not feel well. I could not do the task that I was supposed to be doing as a mother and a wife, and it got very frustrating. So I started trying to look into it a decade ago. But like I said, as I've been dealing with this and we've looked back, we've realized that I've actually been dealing with this since I was a child. So what am I dealing with? Over the years, I have had lots of hair loss just out of nowhere, which is really crazy. And I'll kind of touch more on that in a minute. Weight issues. I could eat great. I could work out nonstop, and I could never lose the weight. I would gain 60 plus pounds with each pregnancy, and I wouldn't be eating what the girl beside me, was sitting there huffing down and enjoying while she was pregnant without gaining all the weight. What else did I have? Anxiety, depression, fatigue, insomnia, brain fog. As you can watch me talk, I have a hard time finding words now. I constantly feel like I'm losing my vocabulary. It's very frustrating because everything I've gone through and learned up to now, it's like I lose little pieces of it and I can't communicate the way I would like to, and it can be very embarrassing. Writing down and texting people, I can see it one way, but it's just I can't pull the words out. My vocabulary is very minimal, and it's like it's all floating up here when I'm trying to do tasks, and I'm reaching for it, but it's not there. So I have a really hard time with the brain fog, trying to, just do simple things that a mom is supposed to do, like the dishes, getting ready in the morning. You lose your train of thought and you just constantly it's there, but you can't grasp it. Brain fog is a big issue. Pain. I've had pain nonstop for as long as I can remember. My hands, they're doing better now, but they used to just not work. I could start out in the morning using my hands, and by that evening, I would basically be crippled. My feet were the same way. A couple years ago, when I had my fourth child, I was basically stuck in the recliner. I could not cook, I couldn't clean, I couldn't take care of my children the way I wanted to, and it was very frustrating. I was about 32 years old, and I felt 80. I did not look or feel my age, and it was very frustrating. What else have I had? Problem with motor skills, walking, stomach pain. I get sick when I eat. I have suffered 3 different miscarriages. They never could figure out why. And so that is the symptoms I took into many doctors. I've lost count of how many doctors and specialists I've been to. Endocrinologist, urologist, gynecologist, rheumatologist, and then everything in between that got me there. And they have come up with nothing other than these labels. Basically boils down to autoimmune, but they like to label each individual one. It started out with being hypothyroid. Now, they labeled me hypothyroid 10 years ago. Actually, it's getting closer to 11. And since this diagnosis, I've been on 4 different types of thyroid medications, and none of them were ever able to get my thyroid into the levels that it needs to be in. It just simply changed my levels, which brought on different symptoms. Each time they changed my medicine, it would throw all my hormones out of whack. I would lose all my hair again that I managed to grow back as far as on my face, and then I lose a lot on my head as well. I would gain the weight back, the swelling. I would get depressed, anxious. It was always a nightmare every time they tried to help by changing medicine. So I've been on 4 different one of those. None of them helped. I found a doctor a couple years ago that was starting out on his functional medicine journey, but he was still very much just a regular practitioner. He still pushed antibiotics, which I'll talk about in a minute, and he still was playing with my thyroid medicines, and at that point I was sick of trying different medicines. They didn't work. It was just frustrating. But he did run a lot of blood work, and that is when I was diagnosed with lupus, which they have tossed around since the first original hypothyroid diagnosis. I've been diagnosed with rheumatism, fibromyalgia, endometriosis, and I also have been diagnosed with a UTI that I have been fighting for 3 years, and that is what has probably set me back the most. I have been through 3 separate doctors that tried to work on treating a UTI. Now, you would think that would be simple nowadays. You just go in, you get an antibiotic, and it knocks it out, and you're good to go. But that has not been what I've been through at all. I've actually seen a urologist, and he basically told me after exhausting all antibiotics that they could throw at it that there's just simply nothing they can do anymore. I'm going to have to live with it, and if the symptoms get bad, come in and they will try again to get the symptoms calmed down. Because they've used so many antibiotics, I am now intolerant to all of them. I can't be on them at all. If I try them, I break out in hives, get very sick, and basically cannot function. So those are out. Even if I would try it, I can't try it. Because of the antibiotic use, misuse of antibiotics, I should say. There is a time and a place for an antibiotic, but We'll touch on that some other time. But because of that, they completely threw off the good bacteria in my body, and now I have a terrible Candida problem, which is basically yeast overgrowth. That in itself causes me really bad stomach pain. That's what is making me sick when I eat. Skin problems, there's a long list of it, and I have a blog post about it that I'll link underneath as well. But basically, for the last decade, I've been trying to knock those symptoms out, figure out why I have them, and address it. One thing that was upsetting me when I would go to these specialists is that they would try to figure out if I had it. A couple of them would do blood testing. Some would just go purely based off symptoms, and then they would hand me a pill, and I would come back after a few months. Or if I got worse, I'd call in sooner. And that I didn't like. I wanted to know why I had these issues. I wanted to go straight to that point and try and fix it so that I didn't continue to have these issues. In my mind, it didn't make sense that I could have a disease or I could have something and there not be a reason or a way that my body could address that and I couldn't help my body fix it. It just didn't make sense to me. But basically, my doctor, this last doctor, had told me, you have lupus, you have all these things, you're going to be inflamed. We can try to help your body with the inflammation, but you're just going to get worse. It's going to slowly get worse. And I wasn't okay with that. I'm not, I'm in my mid-30s. I have 4 beautiful young kids, and I want to get better. I want to live, with them, doing the things they enjoy. So I tried to go keep digging for a good functional medicine doctor because everything I was seeing online, it all looked great. It was the care I wanted. I wanted to figure out what it was, and that's what they were. They want to identify the root cause and they want to treat it. They want to treat your whole body, though, not just that one thing. They want to figure out why this is all happening. So I finally found a doctor that he's actually a chiropractor that has went ahead and went through all the functional medicine training. And I've had 2 visits. So basically, what I'm wanting to do is share what happens each visit so that if this is something you're struggling with, you know what to expect and what to look for. Because it is still relatively new. And the last functional medicine doctor I sought out, I ended up finding out wasn't actually a functional medicine doctor. He just simply labeled himself that because it's popular right now. So I will set a link to where there are actual registered functional doctors, so that you know that you're finding one that has been through the actual training and that they're watching them. So I'll put that down there, but I want you to know what to expect and what I'm going through, because a lot of you say you want to do it, but I've seen that some people are kind of scared. They don't know what to expect, and they haven't pushed themselves through the door yet. And I'm wanting to share this also because, I've been going through this for a long time, but I'm noticing more and more of my loved ones are starting to have these exact issues, and I want to know why that is just as much as you, and I want us to address it. And let's not continue with this path with our children. I'm watching my children grow up and start to have the same issues. My son is an amazing guitarist, but he's starting to have rheumatism flares in his hands, and there's days he can't even touch his guitar, and I'm not okay with that. He's got a gift, and we're going to figure this out so he can live his life out without these issues. So I want to let y'all go through this journey with me. I'm going to tell you the good and the bad and the embarrassing, and I'm just going to let it out there. So hopefully y'all can learn something from it and get something out of it as well. So first visit, you basically go in and discuss your symptoms, what your plan is. They're going to give you a lot of paperwork. I think I did like 17 sheets front and back where I wrote down my symptoms, all my past, what I'm struggling with, what I want to fix, what I've done, what did work, what didn't work. Everything is laid out. They know all the good and the bad about you. There's some embarrassing things, but that's something you're going to have to get over. So lots of paperwork. Thankfully, they send you home with it usually, so you get to go home and really think on it. That is when he ordered blood work. So I went in and got my blood work, and 13 tubes. It was quite a bit, and you fast, and also did a urine sample. So there's quite a bit involved in that. And that was my first visit. So I have now been on visit number 2, and I am finally starting my journey. He went over blood results. It was really neat because actually on our first visit, he has a huge whiteboard, and everything you ask, he goes and he draws it all out. And they're really good at explaining why your body is doing this, how your body functions. You're going to learn a lot through this process, and that's what I love about it. You don't walk into the doctor's office, they tell you, okay, here, take this. You don't really know why or what it's doing. You don't know that they know what it's doing. But these functional medicine doctors, the more I've followed them, they love to tell you, hey, this is what your body does, this is what a working body does, and this is why we're doing this, so that this is what will happen, and this is what the end result will be. So I learned a ton in a 30-minute conversation with a doctor in a dry erase board about my thyroid and why it wasn't working, and how he was going to figure out what was causing it and what to look for. And I thought that was really cool that, he knew how everything functioned. And he wasn't just relying on other doctors he could send me to specifically for that purpose. He knew each and every function of the body, and he showed me, and before I left, we were on the same page. And he knew I was on the same page. So, that's really neat. Write down lots of questions. They'll be happy to ask them. And you need to know what's going on with your body. That's a big thing. I see a lot of people that can't, feed themselves properly, or they don't understand how their body functions. And, it's something we all need to know about ourselves and educate ourselves on. So anyway, this last visit, he went over all of my blood work, told me exactly what was wrong and what was right, and explained, okay, well, this is, why this is happening. And by the time I left, I had a better picture of why my thyroid isn't working, why, I have certain genetic markers that make it to where, I will battle lupus, I will have rheumatism, I will have some other issues, but just because those, I have those genes doesn't mean that they'll be turned on. There's certain things I can do to switch them off. There's ways I'm going to learn to eat. And he just reassured me that, you're going through this, and this is why you're going through this, and this is how we're going to fix this. So I had a plan on day 2. And I'm not going to share the whole thing because we're all completely different. You're not going to have the same, plan that I do. But basically, it boiled down to my gut is fried, basically from over antibiotic use from when I was a child all the way up to recent use. I'm tapped out. My kidneys are tapped out. They're tired. My adrenal glands are basically fried and tired. My liver is having a hard time working. Based off my blood work, he said that I actually, was doing great with all my nutrition as far as getting it in. My eating is, next to perfect, but because my gut and my liver and my kidneys and everything are not working, I'm not actually getting the nutrition that I need. It's in there, but I'm not digesting it correctly. So that is going to be our first step. He has steps, you make sure you got your vitamin D up because it's very important. Mine was terrible, so we're addressing that. He wants to fix the gut first and flush out that Candida so that my organs, everything will be working. And then after that first step of making sure your gut's working correctly and you're getting your nutrients, that's when you go back in and be retested to start working on the next thing. So that's where I'm at. But basically, functional medicine, they're going to dig. They're going to ask you, questions you didn't even think about sharing. You're going to get a lot of blood testing. You're going to walk into the lab and they're going to look at you like you're crazy, but that's fine. They'll know everything they need to know to fix you by the time that blood work is back. You're going to get a lot of paperwork on diet and nutrition. He gave me a great pamphlet on how I could eat specifically for what I'm going through. We all need to eat differently. We can't do a one-size-fits-all diet. Paleo might work for you. Ketogenic might work for you. Vegan might work for you, and it may not. So they work alongside nutritionists, and they're going to get you a plan going to get your diet down. And then I have been given some supplements to help clear out the Candida, to seal up my gut so that I can move to the next step, getting everything in that I need to start functioning correctly. Now, he did let me know that, we see a lot of doctors selling supplements online. And he wanted to let me know, first off, when you go in, you're going to be put on a lot of supplements. You're going to be, given things to help boost up your system to be doing what you want. But he wanted to make it very clear that supplements serve a purpose. They're not to be a permanent, you don't want to, you're not going to be taking them forever. They're to treat, and then once your body is working on its own, you get off them. So don't think that, a lot of people shy away from this because they see all these supplements. And they think, well, I can't afford to do that for the rest of my life. Well, the great thing about this is that everything that he put me on was actually less than I was paying in prescription drugs every month. Where, he was saying in 4 months, I'll be off almost everything. And just think about those savings. You're not on something for forever. You're addressing your problem, fixing the problem, and then you're moving on. And you're learning to treat yourself and keep yourself healthy through diet and nutrition. So, this has gone way too long. If you're still watching, thanks. I hope, you learned something. I'm not really going into detail a lot of this. This video was basically just to let y'all know that I've started this journey. I want to let you know today was day 1 of taking everything. So basically I'm taking a GI support shake in the morning to kind of coat everything, start building back my gut wall. A pH balancer that's got a ton of different vitamins and minerals in it to boost up my system. Vitamin D, a Candida cleanse, and I'm probably not going to say this right, but fulvic acid, that's chock full of nutrients. I'll do a post on that to kind of go into more of that. And he's got me, he gave me a great menu plans that actually makes it easier. I'm going to share a few because, when we try and feed ourselves better, sometimes we make this huge, beautiful meal and we over-exhaust ourselves on planning and spend all that money to get this, beautiful rainbow plate. But sometimes it's, as simple as one protein and a lot of one vegetable. And looking at it, it made so much more sense. And it just made me feel so much better about how I'm going to go about meeting my nutritional needs with a family of 6, not having to go out of my way to make sure, the color of the rainbow is on my plate. So I'll touch a little bit more on that as we go. But today is day 1. This is me today. When I woke up, my eyes were super puffy like they usually are. I had a hard time moving around from being stiff from my arthritis. Now, I do want to say, a lot of people tell me I don't look sick. I do look sick. I draw on my face every day. If I were to go wash my face right now, I'd have no eyebrows, no eyelashes, and that's not a choice. I don't want to put on makeup. I'm not trying to be, into the new trend and draw my eyebrows on. I would love to never have to wear makeup again. I look very sick when I'm not drawn on. My hair loss. So as you can see, this is kind of embarrassing, but I have lots of hair loss, split ends. I'm tired of dealing with, all that. I want to wake up in the morning and not have to make myself who I am now. So, yeah, I'm sick, don't like it. I have goals to, feel better, look better, and give a better quality mother and wife to my family. So, yeah, this is day one. This is where I am. My hair is terrible. I don't really have a face. It's drawn on. I wake up stiff as a board. I'm puffy as all get out. And I have lost 90 or 80 pounds now over the last 2 years since my daughter, but it has not been easy. It really has not been easy. So I'm looking forward to going through this, showing y'all my journey, and seeing what lies ahead. This is supposed to be a 4-month experience. The next, when you start, you go back in 2 weeks, so they can address, how you're dealing with the supplements and all that in your diet in case they need to tweak something, but then they only do monthly visits till you're done. So we've got 5 more visits left. So I'll check in, after a few days of the supplements to let y'all know how I reacted with them. I do want to say that normally supplements make me very ill. They never work right with my stomach, and I'm usually nauseous. Now, they did not taste good. One of the things is a juice, another is a shake, and they tasted horrible. I'm not going to lie. Nothing's a big glass of water couldn't, help with, but I did not get sick. I planned on being sick this morning from starting everything. I gave myself time and made sure I didn't have to go out or anything because I just knew I was going to be sick. And I did. It did not get sick. So that was a plus to using these. But that's it. So after a few days, we'll see if I can still tolerate them. We'll see how my stomach is, and we'll go from there. But thanks, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you're going through any of this and you'd like more information, let me know. And I'll put all the links underneath, and I'll be adding more and more links as I go to touch more on this. But that's all I got. Thanks, guys. Bye.